So I'm going to give you 30 years of business knowledge in roughly the next 30 minutes. So in business, every mistake, every win, and every lesson we learn counts. And over the past 30 years, I've built and scaled companies, I've weathered market crashes, and I've unlocked the secrets to sustainable success. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Brian Lessinger, and in the next roughly 30 minutes, what I'm going to condense is 3 decades of hard-earned business wisdom. And I'm going to do this into actionable insights that you can start actually using right now. So whether you're just starting out or you're learning to take your business to the next level, this is the shortcut that I wish I had learned. So section number 1, and to me, this one is the absolute most important place. You've got to start here and you've got to figure this out, is your mindset and your leadership skills. So what is going on between your ears? The importance of being resilient and adaptable. And ideally what you can do is find what you love to do. And it's amazing when you figure out what you love to do, how earning an income becomes more fun, more joyful, all those kind of things. So let me give you an example. When I graduated college at 23 years old, roughly 24 years old, and now I'm 54, so we're talking about these 30 years, is that I did what I think people were supposed to do. I got a degree in finance and economics. I went out, I got a corporate job, and I worked at 3 or 4 different companies in my 20s. And what I learned about it is that the corporate game, it's too slow for me. The way you have to work up the food chain is too slow for me. The amount of red tape and the way that it just works is too slow for me. And I realized corporate America wasn't for me. And back in those years, what I used to do is I was helping my now ex-wife become a real estate agent. She got out, and all those years where I was the income and I was the insurance, I was our steady person, she got to go out and be an entrepreneur and create a company for ourselves. And of course, I was doing a lot of behind the scenes work. I was doing a lot of the lead generation. I was referring anyone we could to get to them. And because of that, over time, what I learned is that looked like a lot more fun. That looked like something where, one, I could make more money, we could enjoy our time, it would make me more flexible. And so that was something that we did. But when all of a sudden we started having employees and leading people and all those things, you have to remember it's a whole different type of environment than, hey, I got paid every 2 weeks and we had insurance. So like, for example, when I quit my corporate job, at the time we had 2 small kids. We had just bought a brand new house, and healthcare almost 25 years ago was costing us $1,000 a month then. And so it was just something that was more our style and more what I for sure enjoyed doing. And of course, when you can go find the things that you love, it makes life a lot better. So as an example, I am not a handy person, but for some reason, my son is the handiest person ever, and he got into the construction industry. Right now, he's in his 20s. He's learning as much as he can about it. But over time, I'm pretty positive he wants to own his own company or own his own equipment and figured out what it is that he wants to do so that long-term he can be much more in control of what he's doing instead of having to answer for other people. Whether you're self-employed, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an entrepreneur, creating more income streams and figuring out a way to have residual income and passive income by being your own business and being able to use tax benefits and all these other things is a huge benefit to you. There are times where when you're your own business, you have these big decisions that you have to make that will over time increase your leadership and give you more opportunities to do those things. For example, when we just started off as realtors, after we'd been in business for about 10 years, our former owner of our real estate company, he sold it. We did not like the new owner. You could see he was going to run things in the ground, and we had made a decision that in 2005, we were going to start our own real estate company. Well, those first 5 years of doing that were one of the worst 5-year stretches in real estate in forever. And one of the best ways for us to sort of make that better was we ended up 2 years after the Great Recession building an office building. And people thought we were crazy. Behind the scenes, what they didn't understand is long-term, we were able to control our location. We were able to control our financing and what our monthly payment was going to be. We had one of our businesses become renters from the other business. So we thought about this. We at the point had 100 people that were working for us. So we were leading the group and explaining to them why this was going to be so much better to do all those kind of things. So it was one of those where you've got to get the group, anyone who's working with you and for you, if you go into that entrepreneurship model or your own business model, so that they're all coming with you in that right direction. So with my team, I'm very fortunate. I've had the same assistant for 22 years. So that says something about my leadership skills. They need to know that you are happy with them, praise them, critique them privately. So when there's negative things, you pull them to the side and you have a conversation about it. We're not arguing, fighting. It's all about getting on the same page and moving things forward. So my real estate team over the years has been anywhere from as small as 2 people to as big as 6 people. And whether it was my real estate team, Lessinger team, or our real estate company, Remax Realty Affiliates, like I said, we had lots and lots of employees and lots of people. And the reason why our people stuck with us for so long, especially after the Great Recession when the business started getting better, was they knew we ran like a small business and we were always going to do what was in the best interest of our employees, our clients, and we were going to tell them the truth about what was going on. They trusted us, and that's one of the biggest things with leadership and mindset is you've got to get these people to trust and believe in you. And the right mindset and the right leaderships is really what separates good businesses, good business owners from great ones. And of course, after doing that for a long time, we moved on to other things, but it was something where over time we found our niche, what we like to do, and then we went full speed ahead and did it. And again, it isn't always amazing when you own your own business because again, there's pros and cons to it. But if you're able to get your mind right, your leadership right, and you're in your own control, I know I love being in control of my own destiny. It was a huge thing. Step number 2, building relationships and networking. And I know especially for people that are maybe a little more introverted, my ex-wife is introverted, my son is introverted. They're not salespeople like say me and my daughter are, but your network, the people you deal with, whether for me it's real estate agents, whether it's my database of clients, those are the people that are most important in helping you build your net worth. It's relationships, not the products. We help people buy and sell homes, but the longest return that we get is from our relationships. So as an example, today, the day we're recording this video, I had gotten an email this morning from a client that we literally helped they were one of our very first clients 25 years ago. And he sends me an email about how his, now probably in their 70s or 80s, the mom and dad are moving back to Reno, Nevada. He sent me this great email. He had me reach out to them, and his parents already trust me without ever meeting me before because they know their kids, who are literally my age, told him about me and trusted me. And we have stories like this all the time. But other people in your network, like if you know, hey, here's what I want my life to look like. Here's what I want my retirement to look like. Here's what I want my future to look like. Getting mentors and friends and other people in your industry to help you do those things is super important. So for example, our former broker owner, Gary, who we worked for years when my ex was a 23-year-old puppy realtor, we have bled him for information for 30 plus years. And now 30 years later, we're full circling around. He's fully retired, been retired for a long time, and I've become his go-to person. So whenever he's trying to find out things about real estate, about what's going on, he went to sell one of his rentals to one of the tenants and he wanted to know, is this a good price? I'm able to now return the favor to him and give him the information he's been looking for. And without him, we probably wouldn't have got where we were in our real estate business. Another person, John was our real estate partner in our real estate company for years and years, and he's brought lots of good information. He was a broker owner 10 years before we were, and that relationship alone alleviated a lot of headache. And when we opened our office, what was nice is we didn't start off as a brand new business, so getting copy releases and phone systems, we're able to be a 10-year-old company and not a brand new company, so it made a lot of those things a lot easier. My really good friends and clients, the Nelsons, they're my CPAs. I talk to them all the time. They do my bookkeeping, they do my taxes. They are people I talk to all the time about things to do with my businesses in order to get the best tax advantages. My best friend Ken, who me and him got our degrees in finance and economics at the same time back in the day, and he's able to help me plan for my future and into my investments and do my financial planning. We were able to take these relationships and these people and over time, not only help them, but have them help us, because every one of those people I've helped buy and sell homes, and it's this nice win-win symbiotic relationship that you get to go and have with these people. Being in real estate, all our clients know to reach out to us for anything because we have vendors that do everything. So if you have anything that has to do with a house, we know people who do those things. But I mean, I even wanted my clients to reach out to me if they needed a babysitter, or say they were brand new to my area and it's his wife's birthday and they wanted to take her out for dinner and he didn't know what place to take her. So you want those relationships because again, once people know, like, and trust you, they're going to keep working with you, they're going to refer you, and it makes business over time that much easier and easier and easier. So those strategic partnerships that you're able to have, I mean, they're the game changer of all game changers. And what I would always tell people in this category is the person who builds trust the fastest is the one who wins the room. So when you can build trust with that database of friends, family, clients, and then people will reach out to you. Again, I had it happen to me earlier today where a fraternity brother of mine from 30 years ago referred me a client because he knows, like, I'm the guy in this area that he trusts doing real estate. Really good skill to have, and networking and meeting people is just an absolute must. The third one for any business, of course, is going to be mastering sales and marketing. And of course, marketing, from when I first became a realtor 30 years ago, we used to do things like newspaper and magazine ads to putting flyers in front of houses and doing it completely different than what we do now. But if you don't have any sales, then you're going to have a problem, because cash is usually the number one business, or a shortage of cash is usually the number one reason why people go out of business. So if you have a sales and marketing background and you're trying to create sales and marketing and keep in touch with people, that is how you're going to win in this industry. So for example, we've had a database of client that goes back forever and ever. And my client, who I just mentioned to her, referred me again this week. I asked him years ago, I go, you lived in Reno your whole life, you know tons and tons of people and tons of realtors, why do you keep using us? And he had said, he goes, Brian, we have heard from you and been contacted by you every month for 25 years. We trust you. I've helped their mother. I mean, I've helped so many people in that family alone, and it just makes life so much easier when you can do that. Now, if you're not having enough sales and you need improvement on your marketing, then you're going to have to put that high on your priority list on how you're going to treat your clients, and you want their feedback. Some of the best feedback I've gotten wasn't things I wanted to hear. You have to get their feedback. You have to put them in a place to give you honest feedback, and especially for clients that have helped numerous times over the years, I want their feedback, and I want them to tell me if it wasn't quite up to snuff to what they're used to from us so that we can improve. And sometimes there's a reason for it, sometimes there's not, but it's just that interaction back and forth. Now, marketing in today's world has completely changed. We're doing things right here on YouTube, Instagram. That wasn't a thing when I first started in real estate. That was something we did in a much more one-to-one level. You interacted with them on a different scope. Some of the best realtors I know go out of business, not because they're not good realtors, it's because they're not good lead generators, they're not good at keeping in touch with their past clients, and they're not good at generating more people to work with them. So it's not about how amazing a realtor you are if nobody knows you're amazing. It's about making sure people know what you do. And because of that, I know some people that maybe aren't really even that good at this that do very well because they're really good at getting the word out, generating clients, generating business, and going from there. So the most successful businesses, we're not selling products, we're selling emotion. And if you think residential real estate isn't an emotional business, come work with me for a while. I know when we first got in the real estate business, I used to think we were going to help people for all good, happy reasons, right? I was a young guy. We bought our first home. Then you move on, buy your second home, people getting married and having kids and all that kind of good stuff. And then you start to realize a lot of what we do are what I call the 3Ds. People sell because somebody died. People sell because somebody got divorced, and somebody else because they defaulted on their loan. And so when we were doing short sales and foreclosures, it was one of the most emotional times in our business ever. When you're going through the transaction, a lot of times people behave in a way that isn't normal for them because it's high stress. I've learned in my business, when a house goes for sale, no matter what the reason, whether they're first-time home buyers, whether they're getting married, they're getting a bigger house for kids, they're selling their parents' house because the parents passed away, they're getting divorced, they're relocating to a new area. It's always a high stress, high emotion time in their life. And because of that, some of the sweetest, nicest people I know temporarily go crazy. They lose their minds. And you have to understand, when you're doing especially high dollar business items, sometimes in the middle of those transactions, people don't behave the way they normally would. And you have to give them some grace and let them go. And it's amazing how sometimes a month or two after the transaction is over, they fall right back into their normal, hey, that was an amazing experience. And when you were going through it, you were thinking, well, that really didn't feel that amazing. So sales is an absolute must in your process. And so number 4 is systems and processes. And systems are the way that you're able to scale your business. You could only hustle so much. So I'm a free-spirited guy. I'm not great at creating systems. I'm really good at working within a system that's been created for me. But what I used to always tell people, and this was a quote of our team, was systems will set you free. And if you have systems in place, there's a lot of positive, good things that can happen that will save you time. It will save you energy. It will save you effort. And here's the thing with systems. You're able to do more business with the same number of people. So there were times where my team with 3, 4, 5 people, we were able to sell well over 100 homes. But one year after the recession, the market wasn't good. Me and my assistant Robin said, we're not going to hire any more help. And so we're so busy, we can't keep up anymore. And literally the two of us one year were able to sell 98 homes. Did we work too much that year? Did we trade too much time for money that year? Absolutely. And now the cool part is that if the systems were in place, when you hire new people, when you bring in new bodies, it is easier to train them up on a system so that if for some reason someone on your team worked for you for a few years, goes away, the system's already there and it's easy to teach the system rather than trying to have every person come in and do their own thing. You can only spend so many hours a day. You can only hustle so hard, and hustle is a great skill to have. And if you've got great hustle and great work ethic and you're willing to put in the time and the energy and the effort, then the systems will help you scale that business to a level that you never thought you could do. The more business we can do with the same number of people means everyone's going to make more money. So whether you're trying to automate systems or delegate some of your duties, you want to document all this so that you have the ability and the foundation set up for growth. So I'm very fortunate. My assistant Robin has been with me for 23 years. And what we've learned is I'm a salesperson and she's an administrative person, which works out great because our skill sets are opposite and what we like to do is opposite. And so over time, as we would delegate more things to her, when she started, she didn't have a license. Then over time, she eventually got a real estate license. And now there's other things that in the middle of a transaction she's able to do now that she couldn't do 20 years ago. But the cool part is that when we At one point, hired Robin an assistant. When somebody buys or sells a home, and in my state, when we open escrow, there's about 80% that's the same every time. And Robin at that point became too valuable for me. Her time, energy, her cost, it wasn't worth it for me to have her doing that 80%. We hired her an assistant. We created a system and a program so that when a new transaction got started, someone else who we paid less money than Robin could do that 80%, and then Robin could focus on doing the rest of those transactions and the rest of that business so that she could then take some of the things off of my plate, and all that stuff would roll uphill. Automating our programs, delegating jobs to other people, bringing in good quality people, because again, a great business will run on systems and it does not run on superheroes. But if you have superheroes and hardworking, hustling people and great systems, it's amazing how those things can complement each other and go together. Section number 5 are financial lessons. The biggest money mistakes that we ever made and how you can avoid them. And what's crazy is, when we built our office building, people look at me like that was the craziest financial thing that I'd ever made. The building before that, when we signed up for a 10-year lease, which was basically a 5-year lease with a 5-year arm, that was the craziest thing I ever did, because at the time it was 2005. Everything was at peak. The dollars were most expensive. And because of that, we got ourselves in a really, really rough situation. It created issues with cash flow. It created issues with being able to hire more employees. And when you don't have the ability to have more staff when you need it because your cash is all tied up in a location, it made things go a little wonky. So big money mistakes, no different in your personal life that is in your business life, is this. You've got to make sure you've got reserves of cash. You've got to make sure you've got at least 3 to 6 months business reserve so that business can run if you're not making the revenues that you normally are used to making. And someone in a real estate business like myself, our revenues can come in big chunks. You can go times where they're really slow, so they come in waves sometimes. As much as people say you don't want to have too much cash laying around because inflation and things like that will over time eat up the purchasing power of that cash, it feels great knowing you've got 6 or 12 months of reserves for that business so that if you do hit a really slow patch, because in 07, 08, and 09, when we really probably and hopefully in my lifetime hit the worst economic period that we'll ever see in my adult working life, it does give you a little PTSD. It does give you a little bit of like, I want to have too much cash laying around. Don't just let it sit there in the bank earning nothing. There's ways to invest it in some really low risk places so that you can earn some money on that cash that's sitting around. And you've got to balance that risk of reinvesting, or the risk when we built our new building versus the reward. Now, here's what's cool. The rent on our building, when people thought, oh, they're renting a building, versus the monthly payment when we built our building, literally our new monthly payment on our office building was about 45%. So we were paying dramatically less, in a position now that we didn't have to worry about a lease. We didn't have to worry about having any time frames, and we could control the whole space. So when we built that building from scratch, we were able to lay it out the way we wanted. And it's kind of nice when you have that kind of control in your life. So just know, profit, if that's your number one goal in your business, that sometimes makes you make decisions that you're not going to be super excited about in the future. But what I always say is, if we help enough of our buyers and sellers and investors get what they want, or in our office, we used to help enough of our agents create businesses so that they can have the life and the business that they want. And that's a byproduct of being disciplined and smart and leading and doing a lot of things that we talked about previous in this video, then profit will happen. Profit was never the number one goal. I've never was out trying to squeeze every ounce of profit out of a business. And this is big difference between a corporate world, because I don't have to show my numbers every month. I'm not trying to appease, my board of directors or my stock shareholders. We could basically set up a business that worked best for us. So the next thing we want to talk about are lessons that we learned on failure and adaptability. I want to highlight some key failures and how they became turning points in our business. And sometimes when you do things, you don't realize that's going to be a turning point. You don't realize you're going to have a problem there, but you've got to make sure that you can pivot, change direction. And to me, sometimes making a decision too quickly is not a weakness, it's a strength. So for example, we always say, hire slowly, fire quickly. And there have been too many times where we've added people to the team and I probably kept them around way too long. And I'm sure there are times people stuck with me because they couldn't find a better option for themselves. But like when I talk to Robin and the other people on my team, what I want to always be is their best option. I want to be a work environment and a workplace that they're happy to come to every day. And then as we as a group do more business and as a group we sell more homes, everybody wins. Everybody on my team's under bonus structures, and the more houses we can sell with the same number of people, the better for all of us. And so some of the failures over the years is we grew too fast. We went to 6 people. We probably didn't need 6 people. And then eventually we had to let people go. We always just say, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. And sometimes people would show me who they are, and I kept giving them chance after chance after chance. It was probably something that I shouldn't have done. I should have cut bait a lot sooner. And so that my biggest weakness was always in the hiring and firing. Another place where you have to be really careful is, again, going back to these systems. When I first started in real estate, I'm going to date myself right now, the internet was just becoming a thing. So the way we used to sell houses is completely different than the way we do now 30 years later. And if I would have stayed in dinosaur mode and not upgraded our systems and went to computers and went to more digital and online and went to social media versus sticking around with newspaper ads and home magazine ads and flyer boxes in front of a house, the way we used to sell houses back in the day, or, old school farming and neighborhood versus modern day farming and neighborhood, you would start to fall behind. So what you don't want to do is become that dinosaur. And I think going forward, changes in the way we do business, change in the way we do marketing and sales, changing the way or the speed of which things happen is something we just can't fail, because I think you'll get passed by. And of course, in the real estate industry, you're seeing things happen and changes happening so quickly with everything that's going on with the lack of inventory that's happened over the last 15 years and affordability, and trying to figure out ways that we can help our clients get in and out of homes in a manner that is great for them. When there is a failure, or when you are getting negative feedback from your clients, I just look at this as down payments on my success. I'm not looking for perfection. I tell my team all the time, being perfect is very, very difficult. What I'm looking for is lots and lots of really, really good. The more we can do really good, that is something that is actually attainable. Perfection is not. And then again, reaching out to your clients, especially your A+ people, the ones that know, like, and trust you, the ones that no matter what are going to use you, and they might even give you the benefit of the doubt once in a while when you screw something up. Those are the people that you want to get their honest feedback for. And I remember plenty of times where we would do things and I would reach out to 10 or 20 of my clients and say, hey, you guys are my A++ people. I have an idea. I have a thought. Here's something I'm thinking about doing. What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Some people loved them. Some people hated them. Sometimes we did them anyway. Sometimes we didn't. But these are just things where you want to learn from your lessons. Some of them, like I said, will be positive. Some will be negative, but adapt. Business is adapting. And I know when we were at a conference not that long ago about AI and ChatGPT and some of the things you're going to see going forward. If we were to just ignore those and not use those and say, hey, we're just going to be in an environment that we're just going to keep doing what we always done, eventually you do end up out of business and become that dinosaur. So you just need to understand you've got to keep adapting and let failure just be that good lesson to you. So now that we've talked about all these different things, I want to give you a quick recap of the categories and things that to me are the most important things I've learned over my 30 years in business is this. You have to have strong leadership and you've got to get your mind right. Yes, everything is not going to go in the right direction all the time. There's going to be setbacks, things happen. But when you're the leader, just like if you're a parent, any group of people you lead, you're a coach, whatever it is, you can't let something negative happen, screw up the whole group and mess everybody up. So you've got to make sure you keep your mind right, lead that group. And if for some reason you're having a moment, you're having a bad day and you just need to go be by yourself for a little while, then do that. But you can't show negativity and overall weakness. I'm a big believer in all about being positive. Second one, of course, networking. You got to meet and know as many people as you can, because sales are what's going to make every business successful. The more sales you have, you can always overcome some other obstacles if all of a sudden you're selling so much that maybe your systems, which is the next part, aren't quite up to snuff. So if items are taking longer to get out, shipping items are taking longer to happen, we get back to you a little slower than we normally would, you can overcome those if you have lots of sales, and then you can always keep improving your systems. And the systems is what's going to set you free. Systems is what's going to make the long term of your business amazing. They'll lead right all into your finances. You got to manage your finances. You got to budget for your finances. You got to pay attention to your finances. And in my brain, you can never have too much cash, okay? If you fail to master these things, you're going to have a problem. But again, over time, you'll start to learn these lessons. Ideally, it won't take you 30 years. You can keep watching some of the stuff that we're putting out there so that you know exactly what you need to be doing as someone who's either leading a team in a corporate environment or leading your own business, or honestly leading your family in your home environment, okay? And here's the kind of final golden rule that I want to give you. If I could give you one really big piece of advice from the last 30 years is just invest in good people. So whether it's your team, your clients, yourself. People are what drive all the growth. You can never have too many good people. So whether I was talking about the amazing business that I built with my ex-wife, whether it is my best friend Ken, my CPAs, the Nelsons, my real estate mentors, John Fisher and Gary Canepa, any of these people, my team, my staff, my kids, the more you invest in all these people, the better. So one of the other big things that we learned that we didn't really talk about much on here that I wanted to give you a real quick thing on is this. Don't be afraid. Sometimes when I said I was going to give up all my corporate jobs in my corporate world, to give up all my benefits, and I went into a completely self-employed, self-inflicted, everything in charge of myself. I had literally a 4-year-old and an infant, and here I'm giving up my benefits and insurance. And some people thought I was crazy. Going back to the very beginning, talking about leadership and mindset, here's what you need to know. You do what you think is best for you. So whether you're changing careers, changing jobs, going completely from corporate world to a self-employed world, whatever it is that you think is going to make you happy going forward, especially if you're in your 20s and 30s, what you don't realize is life is a long time. I remember thinking 54 was old and I could still be here another 30, 40 years. And when you realize how much time you have, how much opportunity you have, and just know over the next 5 or 10 years, the changes in the work world, the changes in there might be jobs that no one's ever even heard of right now that 5 years ago become a normal job. Don't be afraid to take your shot. Don't always have everybody else tell you can't, you won't, you shouldn't. Give it a shot. And I'm not saying do it without thinking about it and making smart, educated, good choices. But at the same time, you have to do what's best for you, what makes you happy, what makes your life tick. Corporate world wasn't for me. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I spent all my first 30 years on this planet doing what I thought everyone else thought you're supposed to do. Go to college, get a degree, didn't know what I want to do, worked in the normal corporate world, and I didn't like it. I didn't think it was for me. So if I could give you that piece of advice from over 30 years of doing this, it's figuring out what you want to do and then go back and invest in all the people in your world. And whether that is your parents, your spouse, your siblings, your coworkers, any mentors, anyone that was important to you in your world, go talk to these people. It's one thing I will tell you, business owners, wealthy people, if you go knock on their doors and go take them to lunch or ask them questions, they love talking and helping other people get where they are. They really do, most of them for that matter. And I've talked to many of them over the years and they're just really helpful. So find those people, reach out to those people. It goes right back into the relationship part of all this. And you can go back to them over and over and over. And then it becomes full circle, like I said with my friend Gary, where he used to be a mentor of mine. And all honesty, he comes to me for all kinds of stuff now. And it's really kind of a fun thing to see full circle. It's a fun thing that I do to be able to help my kids, my friends, and other people that are in the real estate industry. There's a lot of realtors now, they're in their 20s and 30s that come to me for advice. And it's good to be able to give that kind of full circle thing back to them. So thanks for watching. If you're someone who's living paycheck to paycheck and you want to figure out how to manage your money like you'll never go broke again, check out this video we did right here.